Meow, 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 meow. Everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. Hey everyone, Cantonese Cat here. CIFR, CIFR. You can see that for Fintel.io, there's been huge accumulation for the month of March and April. And I've also been accumulating. I've been buying. If you look over at the chart over here, I'm going to put up the weekly here just to kind of give you a little bit of a very, very nice view. If you look at the VWAP, from around the cycle low, you can tell that it's been serving as pretty strong support, really all the way from the bottom. I'm going to draw this maybe a little bit really right at that bottom, dragonfly candle over here has been very, very nicely served as support throughout the entire time as price continues to push up, right? What you're looking at here is you have a big resistance zone over here by the green range, and you can see that this has been challenged multiple times. It hasn't been challenged initially for about closer to 2 years, and it finally got challenged once, and it challenged twice, and the more it challenges, the more frequently it's happening. And the more frequently it's happening, the more you try to knock the door down, the door can potentially just fall. And when the door falls, you're going to have a lot of very, very impulsive price action that could push price up a lot higher. When I look at this potential setup, I mean, it's just, this thing just looks like a big giant cup and a smaller cup over here. This is a very, very, very nice, accumulation type pattern. You can also see that really throughout the price over here over the last few months. When you have buying volume, it's just been up, and when you have sell volume, it's just been low. Buy volume up, sell volume low, buy volume up, sell volume low. And over the last week, you also have a very, very nice kind of nice little dragonfly doji over here again. This serves as a very, very important strong bottom, and you also have a bunch of hammers over here. Like you have basically of increasing in demand with supply being fixed the same, but the supply level has been eating up for the last 3 years, and it's been eating up especially over the last year or so. It's getting more and more frequent. I think a lot of the supply is probably going to end up getting broken pretty soon here, and the sellers also look a little bit more exhausted. So I think that it's a pretty decent setup here. Looking at the monthly, some of the other things I generally look at. You look at the Ichimoku Cloud. Price is currently above both the Tenkan and the Kijun. Tenkan is the blue line right up here. On a bull market, you want to see price using Tenkan to kind of push price up higher as support, and it did kind of flip initially over here as support, went back down as resistance for a little bit, and now it's flipped back as support, right? So far, it's kind of back tested that and finding support over here. So I think that you're already got a lot of energy being built up for over a whole year over here for CIFR, and whenever the gate is broken, whenever the dam is broken, you're gonna have a bunch of water flowing upwards. This is what it kind of is looking like to me. This is a very, very favorable setup as far as I'm concerned. So far, the month of April is just an inside candle, which favors bullish continuation because these inside candles are generally a little bit indecisive, and it's probably just gonna follow the primary trend, which is still up, right? The other thing to look at was the Bollinger Band. Again, Bollinger Band is going to show you a very, very nice development here, which is the 20-minute moving average has basically been bottoming, forming a rounded bottom over here. Potentially it would end up continuing to push price up higher. Bollinger Band is expanding up and down, allowing price to expand up further because price has spent about a year on the upper part of the Bollinger Band. Most likely is going to end up having some a lot of bullish continuation moving forward. Everything is looking very favorable here on the monthly, and I'll just show you in terms of weekly how things are also looking very favorable here as well. So I'm actually pretty happy about where this could go. If it ends up making another leg down, it's not the end of the world. I still think that the support over here seems to be getting stronger and stronger, and the resistance up here about is getting weaker and weaker. So that's CIFR. I'm going to look at HUD. What has HUD done so far? A whole lot of nothing, to be honest. Right now, it's still one of the miners that's probably still lagging pretty significantly, and it's just been range bound. The big volume shelf is still over here between price of around like 10.2, 10.3, and around like 8.7 or so. And right now, price is having a hard time breaking above this volume shelf out around here. You still got a lot of resistance that it needs to kind of work through before it goes up higher. Do I think that HUD's going to be okay for longer term? It probably is going to be okay longer term because it was also a laggard on the last cycle, but eventually it ended up having some pretty bullish continuation here. when you had the final, push up for a lot of miners. A lot of miners really went up in November 2020. And HUD did as well, but it just wasn't that impulsive. It just basically went back to the top of this range up here. But it was a little bit of laggard, but it ended up catching up, pretty significantly, right? So it's very possible that this, a little bit of diamond looking bottom thing over here, it's just like the diamond looking bottom thing over here, it could end up working out, and this could be like a late cycle bloomer. But right now it's just a lot of headwind there's still above, and there's still a lot of technicals that it needs to work for, right? For example, Ichimoku Cloud, there's no bullish cross, it's below both the Tenkan and Kijun, and both of them are still pointing down. So there's a lot of things that are kind of going against it. The 20-month moving average on the Bollinger Band is looking pretty decent because it's flat, right? Whenever it goes flat, there's a potential for it to change from one trend, which is the downtrend here, to another trend, which is potentially up, right? Could end up having, bearish continuation. That's always a possibility, but I think that there's probably been enough punishment over here. I think most people already have wanted to get out of this, has already got out, including me. Like, I'm no longer in this anymore. So I think that this trend change could be happening. Bollinger Band is also squeezing here a little bit. So, we'll see what happens. I think they might end up falling at the lead of the other miners, potentially just slowly kind of grind up against all of these volume shelf above, and might end up being a late cycle bloomer. We'll see. I don't know yet, right? If you look at the weekly again, like, didn't really show you too much here. It's just kind of basically forming this like symmetrical triangle over here. I don't know what it's trying to do. I know it's probably going to end up being bullish over time, but I don't know when that's going to be. I don't have any confirmation because the weekly trend is still not a bull trend. It's actually a bear trend, and it just got rejected from a downward sloping 20-week moving average. So there's still a lot of technical stuff that needs to work out. But a bear trend can be reversed relatively quickly when it gets impulsive, right? So I'm not here to guess. I'm just here to tell you what I'm seeing so far. So yeah, no HUD unfortunately for me, not at this point anyway. The other miners, they're a little bit smaller cap to kind of look at. One would be this Iris Energy or IREN. I do have a small position. Look at Fintel.io, whale accumulation. HUD, by the way, does not have whale accumulation anymore from the institutional selling actually over the last couple of months. I just didn't show it. But pretty much all the other miners, you have like this increase in institutional buying, including IREN. And IREN is doing pretty good in terms of some of the things that they can look at. One thing is lagging a little bit behind the Ichimoku Cloud. I mean, price is still below the Tenkan and Kijun, but that's okay. I think it's been challenging the Tenkan for quite some time. It's probably going to end up breaking above it at some point. It's just not quite ready to do that. But if you look at the Bollinger Band, it's going to tell you a different story because the 20-month moving average is crawling up, and the Bollinger Band is still on the upper part of the Bollinger Band for quite some time. I think most likely what's going to end up happening is you're going to end up having some tick off here. Whenever this squeeze here is done, when it expands, price is trying to end up going up a lot higher. We'll talk about how much higher and all that when it happens, right? Because we still don't have true confirmation, but it does look like it is trying to make some highs here more than lows, right? So overall, it's again, the 20-month moving average tells you it's been making more highs than lows, so that's why it's pointing up, and it's probably going to serve as pretty decent support to try and push up higher whenever price is ready to go. If you look at a weekly, that does tell you a little bit, something that's a little bit more cooler. You have a bull trend, and the bull trend just started maybe a few months ago. Here on a weekly, 20 above 50 above 100, and this is a bull trend. There's no disputing that right now at this point. Ichimoku Cloud, end up all sitting around the cloud, back testing cloud a couple times over here. Looks like one of the bounce above the cloud, but it's finding some resistance up above with these Tenkan and Kijun here on the weekly, but that's okay. I think it probably just needs to kind of work itself up. Price has been all sitting around for almost like a whole year now, but overall, if anything, it looks like it might be forming a little bit like a channel going up, right? So we might be getting closer to the bottom of the channel, and I think it's probably going to go into the top of the channel again at some point. So far it's looking more bullish than bearish. I do have a position in this, and I think it's okay. It's not any clear bull trend in terms of like a strong bull trend or anything like that, but with the 20-month pointing up, with the weekly bull trend still intact, I think it's probably going to end up favoring a lot of bullish continuation here moving forward. Looking at another one that's also pretty popular is Wolf. Wolf just looks like it wants to do like an ascending triangle thing, looking like it's going to want to break above here because you have very similar supply zone over here, and you have a lot of increasing buying demand over here. It looks like it really wants to knock on the door of this horizontal line right here and try and push back above. So far it's getting a little bit rejected here this week, but overall the trend looks like it's just been kind of oscillating. Usually these things were not working in favor of the bulls to push us higher, right? But we'll see. On the monthly, you can see this a lot clearer. You can also see that the ascending triangle here, this is just a wick right above, this is just a wick right below, right? It looks like it's just forming an ascending triangle, which is fine. Another thing I can look at would be if I look at the 20-month moving average as support, kind of pushing price up a little higher over time, right? I think that because price has been spending a few months on the upper part of Bollinger Band, most likely you're going to having a lot of bullish continuation moving forward. This is a pretty decent setup as far as I'm concerned. You can also look at what the average price for the average holder they bought, from the cycle bottom over here. Right now, people are in profit. We just bounced off from this VWAP of the volume weighted average price down here. So far it's looking pretty decent here on the Bollinger Band. It is a laggard though when it comes to Ichimoku Cloud. You're still pretty far away from the bullish cross of the Tenkan and Kijun, and both of them are pointing down. But it does look like it's kind of flipping the Tenkan, the blue line over here again from resistance back into support here, even though the line's pointing down. But it does look like we're able to kind of bounce over as support so far. So we're maybe getting a little bit closer to the end of this ascending triangle. It's going to have to pick a direction. It depends obviously. It depends on what like small cap does. It depends on what Bitcoin does. But so far, I think most likely scenario is going to end up having a bullish continuation because of this ascending triangle, because the 20-month moving average is also pointing up and starting at support for price to potentially push up a lot higher. So those are my thoughts for this. If you look at the weekly, you can also see that it is still a very much of an intact bull trend. 20 over 50 over 100, just bound from 50, now it's going up higher. So because you just formed a bull trend over here, long ago, just a couple of months ago, I think most likely price is going to end up going a lot higher over time. That's kind of what the price action is telling me. Based on what I'm seeing, based on available information that I have. I do not have any insider information. I do not guarantee what it's going to do because I don't even know for sure. Nobody really knows for sure in terms of what Bitcoin's going to do. But so far, everything is looking pretty favorable for a lot of these miners that I just talked about. Thank you so much for listening. Have a good one. Bye.